I have spent over 20k on lighting equipment, and in this video I'm gonna show you all the lights and what they're great for. Welcome to my new one. Alright, story time. In the last couple of years my projects have gotten bigger and bigger and I started to renting more and more lighting equipment. I was working like every other freelancer, planning the project, picking up the gear from the rental place, filming it, returning the gear and paying the bill. And one day I have realized how much time and money it costed me to pick up and returning the gear before and after the project. That's why I decided to get my own gear and really get into lighting and learn new skills. By the way, I have planned a lot of filmmaking tutorials for the future, so if you want to learn new things and get better at filmmaking, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Alright, before we unbox all the lights, we're gonna need some tripods and C-stands to be able to mount them. Let's talk about the grip equipment. In the past, I have made a mistake and got some cheap C-stands and quickly realized why they were so cheap. All the screws are constantly coming loose, the grip heads couldn't be adjusted properly and the quality overall was just miserable. And that's the reason why I've decided to invest into Aputure grip equipment. It's the industry standard on professional film sets. The build quality is just amazing, nothing gets loose and it gives me a peaceful mind, especially when I'm mounting my heavy lights over my clients' heads. I got different sizes and versions like this adjustable leg to be able to work on stairs and uneven floors, but also the turtle base where you can remove the pole and mount the light in a low position. I also got two grip heads with an extension arm for every stand to be able to mount things properly and be more flexible in certain situations. In addition to that, I also got some Manfrotto steel stands. These are higher and have a wider leg distance than a C-stand, which is perfect for mounting large fabrics or lights and secure them with some sandbags. Moving on to my biggest stands, the Aputure low base roller. These tripods are perfect if you need to mount large heavy things like a boom arm, a big diffusion frame or a heavy light. I often use it in combination with my Aputure boom arm and can easily mount heavy things without having to worry about collapsing and crushing my clients or destroy the whole planet. Thanks to the wheels, I can easily move the setup without damaging my back. Beside of that, I have a small box with some clamps and mounts which can also be very useful on set sometimes. Alright, enough talking about the boring stuff, let's talk about the lights. I'm gonna start with my smallest one and work my way up to the larger ones. Let's start with my first Aputure light, which is the 120D Mark II. This was actually my very first light. I got it back in 2018 and used it since then on every project. The letter D stands for daylight, it has amazing color rendering index and enough output for basic indoor interview setup. And that's exactly what I'm using it for. It's my main YouTube key light, it's always set up and ready to go when I need it. Moving on to the next one, the AMARAN F22C. As soon as AMARAN introduced this light, I was very excited by the idea of having some lightweight, compact, full-color lights that could be mounted simply everywhere. Sometimes you don't have that much space or time to set up the big guns, and that's exactly what this light is great for. Thanks to the design, it can be transported in a very compact, lightweight bag, which includes all the parts we need. Setting up this light is also very easy. You just mount the LED mat on this bracket, attach the softbox frame with the diffusion fabric and the grid if needed. I got two of them to be able to light my interviews, one as my key light and one as my backlight, but I can even make a cross-lighting setup for multiple people in the frame. Now let's move on with the bigger light, which is not that lightweight and compact. The next one is the 600C Pro. This light is not only powerful but also very colorful. Like every bigger light from Aputure, this one also comes in a very handy case on wheels. Inside the case you will find all the cables, a big controller with a built-in power supply, one hyper reflector and the light itself. This light is equipped with high-quality RGB WW LEDs which allow us not only to change the color temperature but also any color you want. Thanks to the Sidus Link app, you can enter exact color information to enhance certain colors of a brand or the location you're filming in. Alright, moving on to my favorite light, the Aputure 600X Pro. Compared to the 600C, this one is a bit brighter but can only do B color. It also comes in a case with the same things but slightly different controller and cable. I like to use it with my LIGHTDOME 150 to create a big soft light source without building a diffusion frame. This one is my go-to light when I need some output, but I also really love the boxy minimalistic design. Now it's time to talk about the big toy, the Aputure 1200D. This one is my biggest and brightest light and I am not planning to go beyond that simply because I wanted to have a good lighting setup for my projects instead of becoming a rental place. Everything above will be rented at my local rental place. Like the lights before, this one also comes with a similar case, but there is also this round case for the hyperreflectors. Inside this case is also the light with a controller and some cables. Basically it's the 120D but very big and powerful. Most of the time we use this light to fake the sun from outside if the sun is shining the opposite way or not at all. But you can also use this light for big diffusion frames where you need a lot of output. Alright, those were all my main lights, but I have one more thing I wanna show you, and that's the INFINIBAR PB12 kit. Well, this one was a very expensive decision, but I really fell in love with these lights, but also all the experienced guys who are working for my projects and using my INFINIBARs are just mind blown how great they are. I've already made an unboxing video about this kit, but to make this video complete we're gonna have a look anyway. You can buy the INFINIBARs in 3 different sizes as a kit or separately. Before I got my INFINIBARs, I worked with the Astera tubes a lot, and I really love the flexible workflow of this battery-powered lights. You can simply grab one for the backlight, adding some light in certain areas, or use them as a practical in frame. But when I saw the INFINIBARs, I was simply blown away. The shape, the built-in magnets, the seamless extension and programming, everything was way better than the Astera tubes. And at this point I thought to myself, I'm already buying the entire lighting setup, and if I get them as well I can cover 99% of my projects. Everything beyond that is gonna be rented, and that's why I got them. The INFINIBAR kit comes in this heavy duty case. Inside the case are 8 lights which can be charged all at the same time. But that's not it. Underneath you will find all the accessories to mount and charge them separately. The build quality of these lights is just amazing. The whole body is made of aluminum, and they also used some very high quality plastic. But all the expensive amazing lights are useless without the right modifiers. To be able to create a nice looking image we need to modify the light. Sometimes you need to soften, to shape or to focus it. To be able to do it we're gonna need some light modifiers. Let's start with the simplest one, the light domes. I got 2 different sizes, the 90 and the 150, but these are not just any basic softboxes. They have this amazing click system which saves my time on set without sticking every single rod into the bones mount. The build quality is amazing. They also include 2 different diffusion fabrics and a grid for each softbox. The LIGHTDOME 90 even has a double diffusion fabric and a gel holder in case you need it. Moving on to the spotlight mount. A spotlight is basically a lens for your light. You can get different ones. I have the 26-degree lens, which allows me to focus the light. Beside of that, you can also insert some gobos to create interesting patterns and effects. We use it mainly to make interesting backgrounds or lighten certain areas of a product, but you can also shape the beam with the blades on every side. A very interesting piece of gear, which is always nice to have. Moving on to the lantern. A lantern is basically a softbox in every direction. I like to use it on a boom arm if I'm filming a table, for example. This way I'm able to light every person around without seeing or moving any C-stands or tripods. I got the Lantern 90 from Aputure, and it also comes with this curtain which you can put around to reduce the spill around the room. But if you need to light a room, you're gonna need the space light. If you work indoors, there's sometimes not enough light. You start to lighting a subject and realize that you need more light in the background. To draw the viewer's attention to the person itself, it must be the brightest subject in your frame. And to lift the shadows in the background, you can use the space light and brighten up the background just one stop under the subject. This is the way I'm lighting my interviews, and it always gives me great results. Moving on to the next one, flex and cutter. Sometimes you just need to cut the light in certain areas, and therefore I use 2 of my floppies or 2 of my smaller flags, but I also use some fabric for negative fill. Yeah, nothing special, it's pretty boring, but you always need them, that's why I wanted to mention them. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you liked this one. If so, give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of my content, subscribe to my channel, because I'm broke now and need a lot of views to get my money back. Yeah, as simple as that. Alright, see you in the next one.